edition of Ask the EC on GTV, and it is live. My name is Nana Abba Anowa. Tonight we'll be talking to the Electoral Commission, and also IDEG, an official of IDEG is here with us, and we'll be taking all your questions. Every week, we have the opportunity to have all of you here with us in the studio at 8:30 in the evening, of course, on GTV. You can watch it on GTV or our partner stations. And just to inform you that this program is live on GTV, as I mentioned, GTV Govern, and also Obonu TV. And for those of you who cannot join us in the studio, you can always ask your questions, because this program is actually a voter engagement program that will seek to answer all your election-related questions. So if you have any questions beginning tonight, you have an opportunity to pose it to the Electoral Commission. Tonight, we are taking a look back and forward. Under the Fourth Republic, we have had 6 different elections in 1992, 1996, 2000, 2004, 2008, and for very, very obvious reasons, the most popular, the 2012 general elections. Well, we're all looking forward to the December 7, 2016 elections. And for those of you who have so many questions to ask, so many nagging questions, tonight the EC will be opening itself up to you to answer all of those questions. So tonight we're asking, how different will this particular election be from previous ones? As I mentioned earlier, my name is Nana Abanamo. I'm a presenter for State of Affairs on GH1 TV, and I'm your moderator tonight. We're taking a break now. When we come back, we'll be introducing our guests and our studio audience to you. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Ask the EC, the Electoral Commission's voter engagement program. So if you have any questions, this is your opportunity to get online if you're watching at home, to pose all your questions to the Electoral Commission. But this show is more about those of you here in the studio with us tonight. I'm just a moderator. All the questions will be coming from you. So I believe you have a number of questions to ask the EC. So you don't always have to, tune into the radio stations to listen to what the journalists and the presenters have to say. Today, the EC itself is represented here by Alhaji Amadou Sule. He's Deputy Chair in charge of operations at the Electoral Commission. Please give it up for him.
Thank you very much, Mama.
And we're also joined by Dr. Kwesi Jonah. He's a Senior Research Fellow at IDEG. Thanks for joining us. So the topic, as I mentioned tonight, is how different will this election be from previous ones? So that would be my first question to you, Alhaji Amadou Sule, before we allow our guests to come in. How different would this election be from the previous ones we have seen?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nana. And as you said earlier on, my guests, the participants here, and then the cherished listening electorate back home. The first and foremost that I want to say is that this year, depending on how the electorates are going to judge the general elections, but I want to assure you that the Commission, as an ENB, we're going to ensure that we have a credible election 2016. I want to assure you, and we also have a first or a world-class elections. The difference, as I want to say, is that one, we are going to lean very much, we've been doing that, on the laws of this country, the legal framework. We are not going to do anything without the involvement or the participation of our critical stakeholders. We're going to be very, very transparent and involving. And then we're going to ensure that all what we do, the issue of time factor, accuracy, timeliness, these are all guiding principles of electoral justice. And I will try to throw a little bit light on what we have done so far and the challenges we face. But before then, I will pause a little. I do not know what questions are going to come up. I heard Nanama saying that I'm going to provide you with all answers to the questions that you're going to pose.
Hopefully.
But hopefully, that's the word. But I believe some of the questions I may tell you, let me go and consult or refer and come back. But I want to assure you, most of your questions, if I'm not able to give you the final answers, I think my supporter, your dog is here. He will come in, you know, and add to whatever I'm going to say.
I think somebody should tell him I don't take a salary from the EC.
That's a good one.
Yes,
That's
yes,
a good one.
yes.
But most importantly, this is going to be a weekly show.
That is
so
it.
if you're unable to get us the answers tonight, next
is
week,
it.
Wednesday, there's an opportunity for the EC to answer those questions. But I believe that you're in good place. You will be giving us all the answers. Before I go to Dr. Kwesi Jonah, we're looking at first things. I mean, with the EC, you are saying this particular election will be totally different, transparent, accurate. Why this show? Because I must say that it's the first time we're having such a show from the Electoral Commission. What thinking went into this? Is it on the course of the transparency you mentioned?
Does this question go to Doc or myself? Yes, you asked a very, very, you know, valid point about how is it going to be different from the past. And I was saying that very much, not apart from the transparency, leaning on the law. If you throw your minds back, I overheard you talking about 2012. Very, very crucial election and what we went through. So we listened. The Apex Court came out with some recommendations. The electorate, our stakeholders, SCOs, civil society organizations, all these recommendations were put together and we constituted a reform committee which looked at them. So we factored all these recommendations into the new laws that we made. And if you look at the constitution of this country, it empowers the commission under Article 51 to come out with regulations in the, you know, performance, I would say maybe in the active performance of our functions. So we did that, and in the pre-election activity, which used to be the registration of voters, we came out with a new law. And then the conduct of election itself, just last week, the other two laws matured. So whatever that we are going to do, we're going to lean on these laws. We're not going to use our own discretion so that somebody will sit back and say that, by what authority are you doing this?
Okay.
So that is one area. Now we were talking about the laws. That is, leaning on the legal framework. Yes.
Yeah, I was actually commending you as well for coming up with this program.
That is it.
Because it's the first time the public would have an opportunity to sit one-on-one with the EC to ask their questions. Let me go to Dr. Kwesi.
Transparency.
Transparency, I like that. Before we invite the questions from the audience, Dr. Jonah, he talks about recommendations from the Apex Court. And are you seeing anything particularly different as we have a few days, about 91 days to the elections? Are you seeing anything different from the EC?
To support what my brother here said, a few things were very different from the past. First of all, don't forget that this is the first time ever in the electoral history of this country that people have had the opportunity to do continuous registration. 2 days, I think the 19th.
And 26, more than that. That was stated in the
but never,
modalities, but we went beyond that.
Never in the history of this country have people who come of age in the election year been given the opportunity to register even after the voter limited registration. So we finished the limited registration, and yet people who had come of age after the registration had opportunity to register. This is the first time ever that they have done this kind of thing. The second thing is that as a result of the Supreme Court verdict on the Presidential Electoral Commission, they were asked to simplify the so-called pink sheet, the election results declaration form. They have done that. They have simplified it so very much that this time around it is very easy to use. But third and more importantly, in the past, election results were declared in a small place called the strong room. Very few privileged people with blue blood, not the ordinary blood, were allowed were allowed into this room, especially political party representatives of the donor community, and I think a few security people. A very small place, very few people. This time around, the EC is thinking of declaring the results in an open place where every single Ghanaian can see how the presidential results come in, how they are declared. So there's no strong room matter again, if you like. Very many new elements. So I just want to support what my brother said. The EC has brought innovations into the elections to enhance transparency and also maybe accountability. So they are doing very well. I give you 90%.
90%. Wow, that's A, right?
That is more than A plus.
It's A plus. Okay, I never got an A plus. So I'm not sure what the 90%. So congratulations on that one. But always, when we're going into the polls, we're all looking up to the Electoral Commission. Very little time is paid or attention is paid to the role of the voter. What we need to do as well to complement the efforts of the Electoral Commission. Dr. Elijah, I'll come to you to respond to that, then Dr. Jonah can add to it. The role of the voter.
Yes, it's, Nana, I think the role of the voter is very, very paramount, because if you look at even, I always try to relate to the Constitution, and under Article 42, the right to vote. So if you are an election management body and you don't create the enabling, environment for anybody qualified to be registered to get on board, then you are denying, you don't underscore the importance of the voter. It is very clear. And this article is an entrenched article in our Constitution, the first article of Chapter 7. So the role of the voter is very paramount. And in every jurisdiction, you realize that some cases in other jurisdictions, people think if an electoral administrator should commit an error, it should go to affect the result that a voter had come to queue and voted. So in our laws, it's very explicit that the error committed by an electoral administrator does not invalidate the vote cast by a voter. So it's very important that a facility is created so that if I come to vote, I don't come to vote, and we make the voting so simple. I overheard Doctor talking about the simplification of the so-called pink sheet, declaration of result form. One, the ballot paper, and the way a voter comes to queue. We reduce the numbers at the center so that it will facilitate the person coming to vote. I don't spend a long time waiting, and I cannot vote, so that you vote early, and then the ballot is so simplified and it is explained to the voter how to cast his or her vote, so that you don't vote. At the end of the day, they say you did not vote properly and the vote is rejected. So here again, the Commission is putting in mechanisms in place to ensure that we realize or underscore the importance of the voter. And a voter also get to the center without intimidation. Free, you vote. And the voter stands there, see that my vote is counted and it is declared at the polling station. I know that I voted this way. There wasn't any intimidation. I can go vote freely and go back home. So that is it. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I think I should have also added that this is the first time ever that the collated results will now be made available to the candidates in the election, and even transmitted straight to the EC. In the past, they got the result at the police station. They never got a copy of the results at the collation center. But now, but back to your question, in every election, the two key people are the voter and the candidate. In all democracies, including even the most advanced democracies, the emphasis has been on the candidate. We call it candidate-centered elections. The candidate manipulates the voters. I will do this, I will do that. It's the candidates who are shaping the mind of the voter. But if we want to call ourselves a very, very genuine democracy, then it is about time to put the emphasis on the voter. It is the voter who should call the shots. It's the voter who should be telling us what they want done, and so on and so forth. Now, so in every election for me, if it is a genuine democracy, the really sovereign person is the voter. Unfortunately, if you take a look at the voting public, there is some differentiation. Some people are very highly educated, they understand the election rules and regulations, they know their rights, others do not know. So for example, if you are a voter, you want to change, you have been teaching at the University of Ghana for a long time, you have been voting there. Now you are on retirement like me, and you are going back to your village, and you want to transfer your vote to the village. It is your right, it is within your right. Now, so the point I am making is that let us put the emphasis on the voter. Let us make the voter aware of all the rights that he or she has to enjoy as far as the election rules of this country are concerned, and not manipulate the voter through the candidates doing this and that and that and that. When the voter knows his or her rights as a voter, he or she will be able to make a more effective contribution towards the success of the election process than ever before. But unfortunately, we haven't put the emphasis on educating him about his or her rights and what he or she can do, and so on and so forth.
What should we be doing? I don't think it's only the responsibility.
No. Yes. In fact, I am totally against putting all the responsibility on the EC. What does it take to educate the voter? Why should the EC stop the very many difficult things they are doing, and also?
That's why the NCC is there.
But even it should be state-centered. These are state institutions, civil society organizations. We must also play our role in all these. And in fact, some of us are doing what we can, but it shouldn't be the responsibility only of the EC. The Constitution says yes, you should do this, educate, and so on and so forth. But you shouldn't always put all the burden on the EC and the state institutions.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. Let me just remind you once again that this program is live on GTV. It's Ask the EC. So if you have any questions and you're at home watching the show, you can join us via Twitter. The Twitter handle for the EC is @ECGhanaOfficial, and your question should come with a hashtag Ask the EC. On Facebook as well, look for the EC's Facebook page, or go to facebook.com/ECGovGH, and you can also email mediaoffice@ec.gov.gh. Big thank you to the European Union for supporting the EC for this particular show. Before we came on air, there was a lady on the floor saying that what happens if I lose my voter ID card on the 6th of December, 8 p.m. What do I do on the 7th? We'll get an answer when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Ask the EC live on GTV Govern and Obonu TV. My name is Nana Abba Anamwa. I'm a presenter for State of Affairs a political analysis show on GH1 TV, and I'm your moderator for tonight's show. Every week, the EC will bring you this program, so if you're able to join us in the studio, all the better. If you can't, you can still watch at home on GTV or other partner stations and join online with all your questions. And also very exciting about the show, every week the presenter or the moderator will change. So I won't be here next week. So I look forward to another presenter next. It's going to be really, really exciting till December 7. Now, Alaji, the question from the lady earlier, well, it wasn't a question, it was a concern.
Yes.
What happens if she loses her voter ID card at 8 p.m. on the 6th of December?
Thank you very much, Nanaba. I was just talking to Nana when we went off about this. I gave her another dimension to that question that, you know, she asked. Before I come to answer that question, there was an issue when somebody told me I appointed a proxy. And a day before the elections, the proxy fell sick. What happens? Okay? So now coming back to this, to vote in this country legally,